those letters. He wrote such exquisite recommendations that my words here can't explain how humbling it was to read what he had written. I am happy for Professor Thomas that he will be moving on to other adventures, but sad for Roosevelt. Another sad loss for Roosevelt is the retirement of Fran Baumgartner, who was my supervisor for student teaching. Two things she said that I can't forget. One, she said that student teachers all get sick. I rather arrogantly thought to myself, not me, I never get sick. And that was true, until I student taught. I think I was the first one to get sick, and twice. The second thing she told us was that during student teaching, we would go through phases, with one of the phases being a very low time. But we would come out of it and everything would be all right. Again, I thought, not me. I'm too excited for this chapter in my life. I won't be low. I was so grateful for her words when I did go through that low, and I could count on her expertise that this too would pass. There were weeks when I felt like I held my breath until the next seminar time. I counted on that support. If I couldn't wait until seminar, then I would email her questions, like what do I do when I ask my class a question and all I hear is the tick-tock of the clock on the wall. She was always very responsive to quickly email her wisdom and address my questions. Leon Stein, who has been retired for at least a couple of years now, I took his class and his class has stayed with me. I very much appreciated his perspective on the Holocaust and his passion for the subject. In addition to his bountiful knowledge, he brought a guest speaker into the class who was a Holocaust survivor. It is a different experience to sit with and shake hands with a person who lived through the Holocaust and shares their story. It was a privilege to take class under Professor Stein because the World War II generation is moving closer to not being with us, and we won't have the opportunity to meet Holocaust survivors. This week, I had my first interview for a teaching position, and one of the questions had to do with teaching writing. I expected such a question because I know there's a big emphasis to include teaching, reading, and writing in social studies. I happily shared that I had learned so much about writing from my history professor, Eric Gelman. Even now as I write this, I can't use the verbs is, was, were, and other passive verbs without feeling a little bit guilty. I was able to confidently and in detail explain during the interview that because of the wonderful example in teaching from Professor Gelman, that I am able to use that knowledge to bring writing and reading into my classroom. Not only did Professor Gelman pass on to me enthusiastic love for Chicago history, but his classes also helped prepare me to meet the national core standards with my future students. I was so fortunate that my first class at Roosevelt was macroeconomics with Jim Ciccarelli. The subject intimidating me and being new to Roosevelt was scary. Thankfully, Professor Ciccarelli had ample office hours and I stopped in often to go over material for class. I am grateful for his encouragement and support that I needed, especially that first semester. I still pop in his office to say hi and enjoy listening to his wealth of knowledge that he passes along even in casual conversations. Dr. Linda Pincham was my advisor and professor. My educational experience would not have been the same without her. She made future classrooms and students exciting to think about. Her passion for the field of education was contagious, as she enthusiastically taught us about such educational tools as bell ringers and jigsawing. I came to think of Dr. Pincham as not only my professor, but also my friend. Another professor that I'm honored to call my friend is Professor Amy Hicks. She is one of those people that you just want to be around. I secretly hope that if I stand next to her, osmosis will work and her fountain of educational knowledge will flow to me. She is always happy to answer my questions and takes time to make educational material relevant. She relates her experiences from when she worked in a high school to important ideas and information that I would benefit from knowing when I teach in a high school. She is an expert in the field of education, and I'm very grateful to have gotten to know her through Roosevelt. I also want to thank Professor Andrew Wilson. He taught one of my favorite history classes, the 60s Camelot to Watergate. He was a popular teacher, as evidenced by the fact that I think every student had taken his class previously. Remarkably, he remembered each of us by our first name and which prior classes we had with him. Last spring, I was privileged to take the Newberry Honor Seminar. While in the midst of that course, I honestly thought it was the most difficult course I had ever taken. I applied for that opportunity because I wanted to learn by immersion and practice hands-on research skills, not just for my own knowledge, but because I plan to teach high school history. I want to be able to show my students what research is. In my required observation hours, I saw that kids think if they Google something, then they've researched their topic. I'm not against Google, but I want my students to go beyond Google. I want them to love their library again and know how to use their library. The experience I had during the Newberry class in that respect is invaluable towards my goal. I want to thank my Newberry professors, Dr. Margaret Story and Dr. Marcy Dinian. I have a great appreciation for the amount of time they each spent in giving extremely detailed feedback on every assignment during the writing process on such a lengthy research paper. I definitely want to thank the support staff at Roosevelt. Even when staff was cut to a skeleton crew, I was able to receive help. Brittany Carlson in the Department of Education always greeted me with a warm smile and responded to my emails quickly. Carmen Schaefer patiently answered my questions and graciously helped me with scholarship information. I don't know every staff member's name, but I appreciate the hard work they put in to help my Roosevelt experience run smoothly. Of course, I haven't forgotten my family. Thank you to my mom for making sacrifices and giving me a quality education as a young person. Thank you to my husband and children for supporting me through all of my classes. Thank you for being patient when I ignored you to get schoolwork finished. Thank you for helping to make dinner or clean the house. Thank you for putting up with cranky mom when I had too many all-nighters. Thank you to my in-laws who stayed with us while I student taught to help get Matthew to all of his activities. I couldn't have made it through all these years without everyone's help. Thank you for being here to celebrate with me. Before I conclude, while I have the attention of the administration, I don't mind that Roosevelt went to a plus-minus system, but what drives me bonkers is that this system only offers students that do well the opportunity to go down. Obviously, those of us here consistently earn A's, but if we ever do earn a slightly less grade of an A-, we never have the opportunity to make up that minus on our GPA. One shared experience we all have here at Roosevelt is the level of commitment and dedication our professors have given to us. We succeeded as students because of their passion for their subject and their enthusiasm for the craft of teaching. So this day of graduation, let us be proud of our accomplishments, but also ask ourselves, did I say thank you? After I hold my diploma in my hands, will I turn around to the people who brought me this moment and say thank you? Did I acknowledge the teachers who spent years giving over their wisdom to me? Did I thank my parents or family for all that they have done? After I crossed the finish line, did I turn to the one who gives me life and thank him for every breath that brought me here to this moment? Did I say thank you?